Okay. We can do this some other time. All right. Okay. We start our Metta recital.
We have 10 minutes.
Oh, you have to talk.
If you want to do an introduction.
Yes, I want to start today's or continue our little talk before we start meditation. Yesterday I spoke on karma and spoke on what is punya karma. Punya karma is the karma that can make us happy and produce results in this life and in next lives, and that can go on for long time, experiencing pleasure and happiness. Apunya is just the opposite of it. In the list of punya karma, I mentioned 5 of them. I think sharing marriage with others is number 5. Number 6 is participating wholesome, doing work, numerous wholesome works to assist people, help the poor, the sick, and many social work we do with very good intention is also called punya karma. You can find many ways of practicing this. For instance, with metta, you can talk to people, you can think of people, you can do something for others with metta in mind, and that is what the Buddha said in Karaniya Metta Sutta, the loving friendliness discourse that we recite every day, sitting, standing, walking, lying down, whenever awake, we practice metta. That means we do anything with the thought of making it meaningful and keeping metta in mind. If you do something for somebody, even taking care of one's own children, spouses, relatives, friends, and so forth, helping them with metta in mind. In all these cases, you gain merit because you do all these with pleasure and joy. Even cooking, you do cleaning and so forth. I have mentioned the way how I practice sometimes very tiny little things in addition to talking to people with metta, practicing metta in sitting. When I travel those days, if I go to any public bathroom, like airplanes, before I come out, I clean the entire area if there is water. If there is water spilled on the sink, any dirt there, I take a lot of paper and clean everything and leave with clean bathroom. So my intention is when the next person goes, that person finds clean bathroom. So the person will be very happy to use the bathroom with this good cleaning state. Like that, very tiny little things we can do with metta in mind. That is very meritorious deed. That is how we practice that. And then uh, respecting those worthy of respect. In our mind, number one is our parents. Although people may have some difficulties, problems with parents, uh, supporting, helping parents is very meritorious because nobody knows how much suffering they went through to bring us up. All we know when we, as far as our memory goes, we heard them reprimanding, telling us, don't do this, don't say like that, don't go so and such, and so forth. These reprimanding, we remember, don't. But before that, from the moment we were conceived in the mother's womb, the mother and father, especially mother, is such a has been sacrificing so much of her comfort for bringing us up to deliver. And from that moment after, if the mother, if the mother happened to be a alcoholic, mother will stop drinking. If she is happen to be a smoker, she would smoke, so to stop smoking. And if she were to stay too late in the night, she would not do that. Even if she takes a little medicine, she reads the label, consult the doctors to ask him, since she is pregnant, whether she should take this medicine or not. She does. She takes all precautions. All of them are not very comfortable, but she has to do that for the sake of us who are in her womb. As soon as we come out, from that moment, she goes enormous amount of pain and suffering. Uh, Recently I heard somebody had a carpus tunnel syndrome by holding the baby very tight because she thinks the baby might fall. There are, baby monitors. If an insect sits on the baby's face, mother feels the pain. If the mosquito bites, mother feels the pain, and so on. So much care, so much love she gives us, and therefore we must be very grateful to our parents, and supporting them, helping them is one of the ways of respecting worthy ones. In Buddhist tradition, you know, Buddha is our supreme uh, object of veneration, Buddha. And Buddha said, mother is the Buddha in the house. So much respect we have to pay to her. Uh, Children may have all kind of differences, all kind of arguments and wrong things they might see in parents, but still we cannot forget what they have done for us. So that is one, respecting worthy of respect. And the others, whoever uphold very noble principles, fairness, metta, compassion, service, and generous, and so on, they really deserve our respect. We pay respect. In the Buddhist tradition, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Sangha is the ideal model for anybody to follow. These days the word Sangha is used in a very loose sense, especially since people started practicing meditation and they have meditation group and they call that is their Sangha. In a strict sense of the word Sangha, is very wider sense of the word Sangha, that also is true. But very strict sense, Sangha means any number more than four. We don't all the sanghas that join us in meditation may not be worthy of our honor and respect or paying respect. Uh, they may be, we respect them as human beings, but we don't have the same feeling as we have towards the Sangha who have attained liberation or who are following the path to liberation. For instance, stream enterer, once returner, never returner, and arahant are the most worthy ones for our respect, worthy of respect. Therefore, respecting them is another way another way that we practice punya and that we gain punya, because by supporting them we want to clean our mind and want to follow their footsteps. With these friends, we want to stop this morning's little introductory part or the first part, and then we start our meditation. Okay. All right. Okay, we start our uh, Metta recital first. Let us begin. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds, whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth. May all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. With this very friendly, loving, warming thought, thought of metta, loving friendliness, we begin our practice. We said in our recital all we need to say in practicing metta. Everything we want to express is there in that recital. So the Buddha has covered every part of metta practice. And that is a very wonderful, very noble, supremely, highly, what you call wholesome, supremely wholesome mental state. We cultivate it. And we want to wish, before we start the rest of the meditation, we want to wish all those who are suffering for losing their friends. Even today I heard another death, and we want to share marriage with the relatives of that deceased and wish them peace and happiness, accepting inevitable in life. This is the inevitable. in every life, and yet it brings a shock to people close to them, relatives, friends, and so on. I know this person for many, many years, and I heard this morning that person passed away, perhaps because of this virus. So, friends, with this metta thought in mind, wishing everybody without any exception, in this practice there is no enemy, dislike, or there is no one particular focused loved person. In this practice, everyone is our friends. Everyone we want to save, help everyone. With this attitude, with this thought, intention, let us begin our mindfulness practice. Even though metta practice itself is mindfulness and other mindfulness practice, we start focusing our mind on our breathing. As we breathe in and out, we notice inhaling and exhaling without using words and concepts, just paying total attention to the breath, noticing inhaling, exhaling, and the pause in between. When we inhale, we notice the breath touching the rims of our nostrils and expanding our lung area or abdominal area. The primary place, as we all know, that breath touches is the nostrils. Then we notice lungs expanding or chest area expanding and the lower abdomen expanding. As we breathe out, they contract. And this is how it is happening all the time. And we simply feel this breath. Feel the breath touching the rims of our nostrils. Feel expanding of lung area and abdominal area. And then we perceive them mentally. At the same time, uh, we pay attention. While paying attention, we feel, and then we also are conscious of them. And this breath, feeling, attention, and perception, consciousness, all change as we breathe in and breathe out. When we breathe in, all of them change. When we breathe out, all of them change. We cannot identify, single out any of them because they all happen so quickly all together. But at least we feel the feeling, we can perceive, we pay attention, and we are conscious. All of them work together. As we do so, our body becomes calm, relaxed and peaceful. The breath becomes calm, relaxed and peaceful. The mind becomes calm, relaxed and peaceful. Then as they appear and disappear, we let them disappear as they disappear. Let them come as they come. Then whatever greed or desire or notion of feeling, a sense of desire will slowly fade away as the mind focuses on the breath, feeling, perception, and so on. Desire fades away. That is then followed by the real sense of loving friendliness. When that arises, we don't have any resentment, anger, disappointment in the mind. So let that metta really take root in our mind, dispelling our resentment or anger. And then arises compassion, remembering the ones who are suffering. Then arises joy, seeing these very beneficial, happy results. Joy arises. That leads to happiness, that leads to concentration. All this slowly take place in our mind. Then when we gain concentration, we become fully aware of very minutest, subtlest changes taking place in our body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness. And this is the gist of vipassana meditation. With keeping this in mind, let us practice. Dukkha pattaca niddukkha bhaya pattaca nibbhaya soka pattaca nissoka hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. This is our daily wish. With our metta, we honestly want to share metta with everybody, especially those who are prone to this COVID-19 virus and those who are affected, their relatives and friends, and especially those who are grief-stricken now due to losing their relatives, dear ones. They also need our metta, even though we know in general that one day we all meet the same fate, that is death, and yet some pass away prematurely because of this virus, and we want to share our sympathy with all of them and share our metta with them, share our merits with them, and wish them all be peaceful and happy. May they all return to their normal life and live long in very good health. Friends, I want to continue this talk on merits, punya, another name for karma. punyakam. Sinhalese people call pinkang. The next one is teaching Dhamma. Teaching Dhamma is a meritorious deed because the Dhamma is something impartial. Dhamma does not belong to one particular country, tradition, or group or ethnic communities. True Dhamma is universal. True Dhamma is in all of us, and that is why the Buddha's teaching we call impartial teaching. It is called Swakata Dhamma, well expounded. Well expounded does not mean it is spoken very clearly, meaningfully, and so on, but the well spoken means spoken without any prejudice, without uh, belittling others, praising his own teaching. He taught what is there. What is there is not one's particular nation's, person's prerogatives. It is a universal truth. For instance, he taught the middle path without veering to one side or the other. Sabbang attiti eko anto, sabbang nattiti dutiyo anto, Buddha said in Samyutta Nikaya. One extreme is that everything exists, other is nothing exists. Without falling into any of these extremes, he taught dependent origination and noble eightfold path. Even noble eightfold path can be explained in terms of dependent origination. It does not belong to one particular person, nation, or country. These are universal truths. When we teach the universal truth, we do not belittle one teaching and praise another teaching. We teach the truth. That is why it is called Swakhata, well expounded Dhamma. This well expounded Dhamma, as the Buddha said, from the day he attained enlightenment till he passed away, what he taught is just that, meaning it cannot be changed or add and edit and put footnotes and corrections and so forth. There is nothing to correct, nothing to add, nothing to subtract. He just spoke the truth. That is, one of them is that everything, whether the Buddhas come into existence or not, is impermanent. Everything, whether Buddha comes into existence or not, that which is impermanent is unsatisfactory, and therefore they don't have any particular permanent self. He taught this, and it is true. Everybody can experiment it in their own life, and therefore, if they impartially experiment them, then they will come to the same conclusion. And that is why it is called universal. Very much like science, you no matter who experiment it, the results must be the same if the experiment is done correctly. So that is why the teaching is called Saddhamma, real Dhamma and well expounded Dhamma. When we learn that Dhamma, when we teach that Dhamma, many people learn to live in peace and harmony. The whole world can learn to live in peace and harmony, allowing, respecting each other, respecting each other's views, ideas, beliefs, opinions. We practice true Dhamma, the truth, and therefore it is universal. When we hear that Dhamma, when we teach that Dhamma, it benefits everyone that hears this Dhamma. And therefore teaching Dhamma with that understanding is a meritorious deed. How it can become meritorious? The one who teaches without prejudice. People who listen without prejudice. And therefore the teacher teaches the truth. What does he teach? Teach dependent origination. Buddha said in Samyutta Nikaya, the real Dhamma teacher is the one who teaches dependent origination. The one who understands Dhamma, real Dhamma, is the one who understands the dependent origination. And one who practices Dhamma, Dhamma Patipada, that person lives understanding the dependent origination. And therefore dependent origination is not created by somebody, nor does it belong to one particular person or nation. That is a universal truth. Uh, Similarly, understanding of karma is universal truth. And therefore, teaching Dhamma is a meritorious deed. We teach it without thinking that this is my Dhamma, without thinking that this is my dependent origination. We can explain dependent origination according to the way we understand. That doesn't mean it belongs to me, that one who teaches. And with this attitude, we teach dependent origination. With that attitude, people listen to it, and therefore it is called blessing. It is called meritorious deeds. That brings us merit. What kind of merit? Merit to live together, understand things together, love together, work together in friendliness. That is the understanding that we get from learning, that from teaching true Dhamma. And the next is listening to true Dhamma. Dhamma Savana, Suti. Teaching Dhamma is one thing, one can teach Dhamma, but if there are no listeners, uh, that Dhamma may not be very much beneficial to anybody. Therefore, listening to Dhamma is a very good meritorious deed. And that is why it is mentioned in the Mangala Sutta, Discourse of Blessings, where 38 Mangalas or blessings are listed. One of them is listening to Dhamma. Uh, Listening to Dhamma is a blessing. Why it is blessing? When we listen to Dhamma, we uh, learn something that we have not learned. And then if we have learned something, we can clarify it, purify it. Uh, then if we have any doubt, we can get rid of the doubt. Uh, then we will be uh, improving our knowledge, gaining knowledge, and and learn to live a very noble life. So listening to Dhamma is also is a blessing. We have to listen to Dhamma to get blessing with undivided attention, uh, paying total attention to Dhamma. Every word we must pay attention to when we listen to it. And when we do that, we can remember it. When we remember it, whenever we are awake, whether sitting, standing, walking, lying down, we can think of this Dhamma. Whenever we have a conversation, we can bring Dhamma to make the conversation meaningful and to understand that we are carrying on conversation not to show our ego, but to clarify our understanding. And therefore, listeners and the people participating in the Dhamma also will learn. That is why it is called Dhamma Sakatcha, discussion. In order to discuss Dhamma, we have to have something in our mind. And in order to examine. Because once we learn the Dhamma and memorize it, then we can examine it. Examining Dhamma in itself is called a factor of enlightenment, called Dhamma Vichaya Sambodhanga, experimenting or examining the meaning of Dhamma, asking questions. That is also a way of improving our understanding. And therefore, that is a blessing, and that is a meritorious deed. And that means teaching Dhamma and listening to Dhamma. Both are meritorious deeds, kusala kamma or punya kamma. Then the 10th or last is straightening our views. Friends, that is the most important of all of them, because not uh, having a straight understanding, straighten our views, we can get into a lot of misunderstanding, misconception, misinterpretation, and then thereby we increase our greed, hatred, and delusion. And therefore, straightening our views and purifying our mind is a very meritorious deed that brings punya. As I said, when we gain understanding, better we understand, the happier we are. Uh, the less we understand, more confused we are, unhappy we are. And therefore, straightening our views and understanding things exactly as they are is a blessing. And therefore, even I mentioned several times, our repetition of birth and death or a cycle of suffering can be brought to an end through understanding. And that is why the Noble Eightfold Path begins with understanding, understanding our suffering. When we do not have right understanding, we continue to have suffering and increase our suffering. When we have understanding, we learn how to get rid of our suffering. I mentioned at the beginning of this talk, when we have suffering, there are two options. One is to go on suffering, complaining, and grieving, and so on, being depressed, disappointed, upset, and always in a sort of depressed state. The other, or keep having suffering, or The other is just seek for some uh, cheap happiness, pleasure. Uh, it is just like when one has an uh, itchy skin. If we keep rubbing it and scratching it again and again, the moment we scratch, it gives a little pleasure. But after scratch, there will be a wound, bleeding. And therefore, some don't know how to get rid of suffering. Either they keep suffering, or they will they will go to the other extreme of looking for pleasure, and thereby they increase suffering, more suffering. But the third option is having faith, thinking that, well, this suffering is not something permanent. This suffering, just like anything else, is impermanent. Or, therefore, there must be some remedy, some way out of this suffering. There may be someone who can help us to get rid of this suffering. So, therefore, when we have understanding without any misunderstanding, then the life can become blissful, uh, meaningful, happy one, without too much mm, suffering inflicted upon ourselves by having wrong views. When we have wrong views, our thinking is very wrong. And every wrong thought will produce every wrong word. When the wrong word is spoken and used in reading or writing and speaking, then there will be wrong, more suffering. And therefore, the whole series of meritorious deeds end with right understanding without any greed, hatred, and delusion, or clear understanding. Now, this series I mentioned as the series in this series. I mentioned uh, 10 items: practicing generosity, observing morality, practicing meditation, sharing merits with others, rejoicing in others' merits, uh, participating numerous wholesome work, and respecting those worthy of respect, and teaching Dhamma, listening to Dhamma, and straightening one's view. These are the 10 meritorious or punya karma. Punya karma. And I think I will stop here for today, and we will continue it tomorrow at the same time. On the other side, kusala karma. Now the list I gave you today, ended today, is punya karma. Now I am going to give next tomorrow onward kusala karma. With these friends, we started with metta, and we continued to practice metta in our meditation, and wish all those who are suffering, all those who are sick and trying to get well, all those who are helping them in many ways. I have seen some people have invented various things to uh, some university students, inventing this hand sanitizer without touching the bottle. As they reach the bottle, there is a sensor. They connect it to a little device, and sensor will activate, and liquid automatically comes to hand. So one doesn't have to touch it, so that nobody will get a virus from that person. That kind of things. People are inventing things. think in various ways to help the world to get rid of them. May all of them be safe, secure, healthy, peaceful, and those who are suffering recover from the suffering, and may they all return to normal life, live long, long time with very wonderful health. With this wish, I conclude this morning's talk. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating, and I hope to see you tomorrow.